Hello and welcome to Co-Advocate Goes Live. My name is Kelly Goodell and I am the Regional Prevention Coordinator at COAD Early Care and Education Division. COAD is a child care and resource agency serving 31 counties here in Eastern Ohio. This broadcast is brought to you in partnership with the Ohio Children's Trust Fund, the Eastern Ohio Prevention Council, and both of those agencies seek to provide child abuse and neglect prevention services in the following counties: Belmont, Carroll, Coshocton, Guernsey, Harrison, Jefferson, Monroe, Muskingum, Noble, and here in Tusc County where we are today. Thank you for joining us, and as I said, we are here live on site in Tusc County at the Job and Family Services offices located right outside of New Philadelphia. Today my guest is Mandy Prosser. Welcome, Mandy, and thank you for joining us today. She's a supervisor here at Tusc JFS, and will be sharing with us some information about services and other resources available here in this county, and also at all Job and Family Services across Ohio. So once again, thank you. Please just tell our audience a little bit more about yourself and what you do here at Job and Family Services.
My name is Mandy Prosser, and I have been here about 9.5 years, and my role is I'm the intake supervisor in Child Protective. So what that entails is all of the reports of abuse or neglect that come into the agency, they come in through my unit. I then read those. I use state guidelines to see if it's an investigation or not, and if so, I assign it to workers.
And so you've been with Job and Family Services for 9.5 years. So you're a great person for me to be talking to today, to be learning all about Job and Family Services. And again, to reiterate, these offices exist in every county in Ohio. So a lot of the core services, any resident of Ohio could walk in and access any of these because they're available everywhere. So today, if you could share with me a little bit about the core services of Job and Family Services, and that way we'll be able to share with anybody viewing our video just how they can walk in the door, what they can be looking for, or who they should call and ask questions about if they think they might be eligible for services. And we really see that this as a part of our community as providing that resource to families and parents and children. So that's what we're here today. So just share everything you know about Job and Family Services.
Well, our Tusc County is a combined agency, meaning we have the public assistance side and we also have the children's services side.
Is that normal? I mean, does that happen, or is that the way that Tusc is organized?
That's the way that Tusc is organized. I mean, it is. I don't know the exact amount of states of what counties do that, but some are standalone. Children's services is one building, one place, and then public assistance is another. But ours is a combined agency. Okay. The public assistance side, they have numerous different things. One of the big things is the medical, Medicaid and Medicare, along with food assistance. They also have things such as emergency assistance, which is our PRC program.
What does PRC stand for all of us who don't know all the alphabets? Do we need to look?
Oh, I do.
Because we live in acronyms. So we're going to get back to you about PRC.
Yes, and I will check that for you in a minute here. And I don't work on that side, and I just know like the things that it has. Those are more if somebody gets a job somewhere and they need assistance with, say, uniforms for that job, or if they need assistance with car repairs, things of that nature. So all the guidelines and everything, we do have a wonderful website that anybody can go on, and they can look up exactly what PRC means, the things that they can get assistance with, and so that might be a way to go.
Excellent. And that's fine, because that's what we're here. We want people to be coming and accessing. So we're going to be giving the specific website at the end of this broadcast, but know that that is a good place for anyone to go and access, whether it be your individual county or whether it be here in Tusc.
Correct.
Okay. So we talked about public assistance.
Okay. We also have Childcare. We have a unit that does childcare. We have licensed child care providers. Then what can happen is for people in the community that need assistance with child care, they can fill out an application and go through that process to see if they are eligible or not for that child care. Then if they are, their payment is figured out through their income and how much they would pay. So it's not paying that full price.
Mm-hmm. And that's probably the biggest connection between COAD and most Job and Family Services offices is that child care piece and helping families who are eligible for subsidized child care and helping them access child care that is high quality and available within their means and within their communities and what have you. So that's where I know the most about what happens within here. So I'm excited to learn the rest of the things. And again, we'll keep referring back to the website for anybody who will be interested in more information. We'll be providing that at the end.
And two, it doesn't have to, it's income eligible for the subsidy, but somebody could just call in and get a list of the daycare providers. Even if you're not eligible, you could still get that if you wanted to take them to somebody that does have training, does have CPR, first aid, those kind of things. So anybody in the community can utilize that list in those daycare providers.
And then if they are eligible, then that's the connection for services.
Correct. Yeah. We also have a transportation unit, and what that is we have drivers that can help parents, single people, children, anybody who is Medicaid, Medicare eligible. They actually can transport to doctor's appointments, and if you have children that are in foster care and you have to do visits, they provide transportation for the visits, for parenting classes, things of that nature.
Okay. Very good. We might come back to that one in a little bit as well. I'll let you continue going through the different divisions of services.
Just looking here, we do have cash assistance for individuals that meet those requirements, and what that is there are things that you would have to do in order to get a certain amount of income each month. And I believe that you would have to work off those benefits in some way. But if anybody is interested in that, they can either go to our website or they can call in. They can do an application online, and then somebody that actually does that position and does that piece of the program would be in contact with them to let them know what's required of them. We also have the children's services side. Like I had explained earlier, mine is the intake, so all of the reports of child abuse or neglect that come in through the county come into this office. And then what we do is investigations. And Job and Family Services is very much we want families to stay together. We want to strengthen families and to make sure that children stay in the home. However, if there's ever a time that parents or whoever is the custodian of these children cannot safely maintain them in the home and they do have to be removed and go into foster care, then we have two what's called ongoing case management units. What the ongoing case management units do is they meet with the children monthly that are in care. They also meet with the parents and create the plan that they need for these children to attempt to get their children back in the home.
To return home.
Yes. And then we do have a placement unit, which is that's foster care and adopt. So what they do is recruit foster parents. They do trainings for foster parents, but they also are the ones that look for homes when children do come into care. And we also have adult protective, which is basically the same thing as child protective. All the reports come in, but that's for individuals that are 60 and older.
Is that a separate intake office, or is that?
It is. There's actually only one adult protective worker for the county, and his name is Ryan Benedetto, and his office is right next door to us. So, and actually my unit here, I have 2 aides that answer the phones. So we take all the reports of the abuse or neglect of the elderly, and then we filter them over to Ryan and his supervisor.
Okay.
We also have something that's a kinship care program, and what that is there is money through the state if you have full legal custody of kin. So niece, nephew, grandparent, grandchildren, things of that nature. And so that's a program that you can come and apply for, and we get that all started with the state to see if you're eligible for extra income to help raise children that aren't yours.
And provide the supportive kind of resources that you might not otherwise have been expecting or had experience with.
Right. And with that being said, sometimes it's a little bit confusing. I know when individuals come in to apply, that kinship care is if you have full legal custody. There is through the public assistance side, you were able to get benefits for somebody, if you're raising a child that is not your own, you can get benefits for them that is separate than that kinship care.
That is separate than kinship care.
It is. So.
And so that could be very helpful. I think sometimes when we talk about most agencies, it's the more you know, the better. Sometimes you don't know what questions to ask.
Right.
You don't know what you don't know. So,
Right.
so there is that difference between a formal kinship care
Right.
and some other assistance that could be available to you.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Because we know that there's a lot of grandparents and aunts and uncles caring for their not children per se. So knowing that resource is available to us can be really, really helpful.
Right. And I wish I actually had a number, and I don't. And I wish I knew the number just for our county alone, because I know last year in 2017, my unit here has put children with relatives, like 30 different families. So, I mean, that's 30 that just we did. That's not grandparents who have had kids or aunt and uncles that went to the court and filed on their own. So, it's a large number. I know that. But.
And especially, I think with a lot of the things going on in society and with the opioid, that we're seeing a lot more of just finding and helping children to have safe and stable homes, so they can be successful and so they can grow and mature and be healthy.
Right.
So that's another great way. And I think that's probably one of the things in defining the difference between kinship care and knowing that there's options out there available, and that this county office can help facilitate that, can help, has that as a mission to keep families together and to keep them strong. So that's good for, I think, for all of us to know about that being available here. Are there other divisions, or did we cover most of the divisions?
I think we got most of them. The transportation, daycare, income maintenance, and children's services are really the big things. We do have parenting classes that are through our children's services agency, and if you would go on our website, they have right where you can click on it and shows the flyer of how you would need to sign up for that and what that entails.
And we've been talking about that, and so Mandy, if you and I could talk about, online access, which I know that you and I were going through the website before we began, only because there's so much information there. And I did see some signs that said, really, you can maybe quicken your enrollment or check your eligibility. So the online access, I realize is a big push. So if we can talk about that process and what you would need to have perhaps with you whenever you're doing online services. And then if we could also talk about if you need to walk in the door. Are you want to go down that path now? We'll talk about just accessing services. It's one thing to know or not to know what services are available, but then being able to access them. So if we could talk about your website a little bit, and if you could share that website, that would be, that would be the time.
www.tcjfs.org. Again, tcjfs.org. And there's a lot of things are online, and I mean, you can surely still come in and apply, but you can apply online. They have the applications on there that you can go and you can fill out, which gets sent into our office then, where to their intake unit, where they would process those. And what would happen then is the person would get a letter of their appointment time and date, and most of that's over the phone. So you don't even have to come in the building.
So the point of actually coming to the building is kind of being kind of pushed to the side, because a lot of it can happen both online, via phone. So if someone has a driving barrier and cannot physically come to the office, then it would be connecting them with other resources, such as the phone, such as online services, perhaps at a library, and they could get assistance there to access some of these. Mandy, do you know if when you're looking online for the services, I know that you and I had gone through, and each of the divisions that we talked through were the drop downs, and then it gives you a list of resources or specific. If someone's trying to access those services, how should they be prepared? What kind of questions do you think that they would be asked? Is it anything intensive, or is it probably just their basic contact information, phone number? At that point, would they need to provide their work history or employment, or is that something that happens later in the process?
I believe it's probably on that intake application, especially for food and medical, because they are income-based things. So what it would be is you would fill out, and it's your name, your address, phone number, anybody that lives in your home, and then they're going to want to know things like how much do you pay for your rent or your mortgage, how much do you pay for your utilities, and what is that income coming into the home. So that way the state looks at all that as to what you're paying in and what
for
you
that
have coming in,
determination.
right? To see if you're eligible for food assistance and what your allowance would be. At that time, they would need pay stubs and things of that nature so they can verify your income. But all of that will be, once you apply, it'll tell you what you're going to need to have.
So it'll walk you through the process.
It will.
So the first step is either accessing online, making the phone call here, or in those probably rare cases now, walking in the door and giving that preliminary information.
Right. And when you come in, if you either come in for your interview or if it's over the phone and you don't have that with you right then, they're going to tell you what you need. And they're going to send you, I don't want to say a letter, it's kind of like a form that has in there, we need the last 30 days worth of pay. So you're going to know, you're going to have that in front of you so you can get that turned in. And I believe it was, and I still think it is, 30 days that we have to process an application. So once you come in and apply,
once
if
you get
it's
in the process,
non-emergency, right?
Yes.
You have a certain amount of time to get those verifications in, and they have a certain amount of time to finish up the application.
And you brought up a good point about non-emergency. So in an emergency situation, and you may not be as familiar with all of the different divisions and what they can offer, but in an emergency situation, is this a good place to start?
I would say
if your family is in some type of crisis, whether it be food stability, housing, that type of place, would you say this is a good place to start, and that if not officially going through this office with the resources available here, that networking could happen and with that?
Yeah, typically if there are children involved, they will always contact this unit. So somebody from here will meet with the people, and if we don't have what is needed here, if we don't provide that, we will link them as best as we can, whether it be food banks, whether it be places for housing, things of that nature. So we will do whatever we can. And you don't have to have abuse or neglect case on you for that. Anybody can call in and just say, I'm having trouble with my rent. And what we'll do at that time is give them different phone numbers they can call to see if there's assistance.
Because really, when we talk about communities and networks, and yes, things might be a little bit different in each county, but that is something that I don't know that a lot of people would think of as a first stop to make the phone call and say, well, I'm struggling, and I can't find the phone number for the food bank, or I don't know which churches offer this type of maybe support services to me. So it feels good that every county has this office as a jump off place to kind of access those resources besides the ones that are being offered here, but then also to kind of help that first step in networking across what's available. Very good. So we talked about the online. I want you to provide and again, this is for Tusk specifically, but every county is going to have a very similar website address to access services. So if you could share that with us again, please.
Sure. www.tcjfs.org.
Excellent. And on that note, we're going to say, please, thank you for watching us again, and we hope that you have learned some valuable information about Job and Family Services available not only here in Tusk County, but in every county, and every resident of Ohio has access to these and can use their local JFS office as a jump-off point for networking and identifying what type of services are available to you and your family as you need them. And so we will see you again. Mandy and I will be coming back to you next week as well, and we'll be talking a little bit more about children's services and other resources available to families with children here in Ohio. Thank you so much, and thanks for joining Co-Ed for Kid Goes Live. Bye-bye.